Confidence is about how you see yourself. Welcome to the Uniquely Confident Podcast.
Positive energy and good vibrations from me to you. It's your boy RJD, the Imperfect Gentleman. And yes, this is another dope episode of the Uniquely Confident Podcast. Yo, as y'all always know, I'm always excited, but tonight I'm super excited. I got a gentleman on this podcast that's about to drop some information that I think is going to be very, very valuable to you kings out there. So listen, you guys know around here, before we get to anything, we got to follow the protocol. First and foremost, we got to talk to the man upstairs, and then we got to pay a few bills. With that being said, dear God, we thank you for another opportunity to be here. We understand that life itself is a precious gift, and we thank you for the gift, and we thank you for the giver. Right now in this space, we as men, we actually look across this platform as we go across the airwaves to help somebody in this space and building their character and confidence so they may be a better man for themselves, their community, and their families. These things we do ask in the Most High's name. Amen. All right. So around this beautiful podcast, I get wonderful podcast sponsors, and they've been doing it for about a year now across both platforms. Those guys over at It's Now or Never Entertainment for all your music needs, whether it be hip hop, gospel, music, R&B, it doesn't matter. This producer does it all. And if you have a project in your head and you whistle it out to him, I've seen him do it. This is not even no cap. I've seen somebody whistle a tune out and him create a whole entire track. It's amazing what he can do. But listen, if you go over there and you use the word unique, he'll give you 50% off on any beat in the beat store. Yes, that's 50%. So go over there, shop smart, shop black, shop It's Now or Never Entertainment, and tell them RJD sent you from the Uniquely Confident Podcast. Now, with that being said, all the formalities are out of the way. I am excited because I get a chance to bring to the stage a phenomenal man. This dude right here, I met him in Clubhouse. I would say almost a year ago now. It's crazy how time has flown. It's literally been about a year since I met this gentleman. And every time I'm in a space with him, I learned something in a space of dating. I learned something in a space of being a man. And I just enjoy being in his presence because he has an aura about him. And I'm not going to sit here and just keep talking about him because he's actually here right now. Everybody where you're at, stop what you're doing. Clap your hands. Give a warm welcome to my dude, DM Woods, man. Let's get it.
What's going on, man? How's it going over there?
Man, I'm wonderful. How are you, King?
Man, good, man. It's a good time right now. We're getting 2022 started off right, and so many blessings are already here. So I'm just here to enjoy them, man. And I heard the Clubhouse plug. I got my red balloon. I think it was last week. So it's been fun, man. It's been fun.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm super glad to have you on the stage. Thank you for your time, man. And thank you for coming to this on this platform to blaze it. You know what I'm saying? Like give some information, drop some of that content for the kings out there because this platform is all about character and confidence building. And I actually have a piece of content that's coming out. It's going to be pretty funny, but you're in a dating world. So before we get started, like I did a horrible job at like the introduction when it comes to the reading the blurb. So do me a favor and the rest of the people out there, let them know who you are from your own mouth. Let them know who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, most definitely. So my name is DM Woods. You can find me anywhere under dwoods.advisor or dwoodsadvisor. In a nutshell, I help singles out there, singles that may be frustrated, singles that may be disgusted, singles that may feel busted, get themselves together and attract or find the person of their dreams. And when I mean the person of their dreams, I'm talking about the person of their dreams. So many people like to settle, but I help you elevate those standards and really get down to the brass tacks of finding that person. I show you how to find them by filling all of the gaps to get to them even quicker than you ever thought before. So that's what I do.
Oh, that's dope. Listen, yo, I'm glad to have you on the platform because, excuse me, I've been with my wife now for 15 years, and yeah, she's patient. Like I always give her the credit for this. Like, yeah, she's patient. But I always ask myself, like, and I'm gonna be very honest, D. I always ask myself, like, is dating coaching real? Like, because how do you how do you help me in this space? Because I didn't now after hearing and learning from you, bro. Like, I didn't date. I just found a woman and just got with her. Like,
man,
be honest.
But honestly, you got lucky, which is good. Blessed.
Yeah.
Blessed is what you are. But just like the Bible says, man, it rains on the just and the unjust. So
right.
Not everybody, not everybody gets that blessing, man. So I'm glad that you found it.
No, also, let me tell you, because like I tell her all the time, like I don't know where God got you, but He must have held you in the corner just for me, because like
Yes.
she's literally perfect for me. Like when I everything, my ups, my downs, my goods, my bads, like she compliments them all. So I'm very privileged and blessed to even be with such a woman. So to actually topics of the evening. So my first question to you, D, is when you hear character and confidence, what are your first thoughts?
So when I hear character, let's just say character first, right? Character, when I think about it, is what you stand for.
Right.
It's the inside. I think confidence is what is portrayed outside, and I think it's a mix between those two that allows you to be successful, allows you to be fruitful in this world that we live in today. I almost like to think about character and confidence as almost like a yin and a yang. Both parts are definitely needed. They're both equally as important, but you can't have one without the other. What good is character when you don't have the confidence to show it? And what good is confidence and you're showing everybody who you are, but your character is flawed?
Right.
So I think it's the perfect mix, man, to really strive to achieve that perfect balance.
See, and this is awesome because like what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do a lot of debunking tonight. So
Perfect.
I hear this regularly from a lot of women.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm not worried about his character. What does his wallet look like? Right. So now to those women and to those men also in that category, what do you say to that in the dating world as a coach when someone is looking to more so to a financial space rather than somebody's character? What do you think they're setting themselves up for?
Well, I think that viewpoint is flawed because at the end of the day, yes, they are looking for that money, but let's break down what that is, right? That's the ability to provide. So if we go back, this is a primitive level thinking, right?
Right.
Back when we were in the cave, if we were ever in the cave, right? It was the person with the biggest stick, the person that had the loudest voice, the person that could take down the mammoth, right? It was all about an ability to provide. It was about getting and having the best possible candidate for a woman, for reproduction, for safety, etc. No longer does a man have to take down the mammoth. No longer does the man have to have the loudest voice. No longer does the man have to have the biggest stick or be the most aggressive in the yard or in the cave or whatever it was back then, right? Those have changed. Now you have sisters out looking for finances. Does he make six figures? Does he make more than six figures? Because now 6 figures is becoming average. So does he make 150? Does he make 200? Does he make 250? Is he 6 foot? Does he have a six pack? What does the body look like? The ability to provide and feel protected, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is really just a primitive level of thinking, but you want to be able to move past that. I do understand it's there. I do understand it's a preference for some. For others, it's a necessity. For others, it's a non-negotiable. But just like I said earlier, you have to have both if you're really looking for long-term longevity. Because it requires more than money to be something and have something long-term.
Now, and like I'm glad you said all that we have this on wax, because this is I'm eating this up on the inside because of the conversation I've been having for the last couple of days with a few people that I know, and I can't wait till this podcast comes out. So yes, I'm coming for you. So
give it out to me, man. Let's get it. Let's help people out.
So how important is character in dating? Like for the men, like let's not even talk about our queens right now. As for the men, how is important it is for a man to have character in the dating world today?
So I think it's equal on both sides. When you first heard it, I started thinking about women and character and et cetera. But let's just talk about it on a guy perspective, right? The biggest thing you really want to get down to is what do you want? With the lack of character, I can fake the funk. A lack of character, I can mislead you, I can misguide you, etc. I can have my own intention set up with zero disregard for who you are. So there's character that can be flawed in different ways, but if a person doesn't have the character to say, hey, look, you're not what I'm looking for, and leads you on, that so many sisters have been hurt by this. Like we know it. We've heard this story so many times. Oh, they played me, or overnight, or at the end of the day, this person became a narcissist. I had narcissist tendencies, and etc. These are character flaws. And sometimes us looking for the outside and not necessarily having a regard for the inside, we can miss a lot or get hurt in the long run. So it's really important.
Absolutely. And like that's what those quote unquote flags, right? Those red flags.
Oh my goodness.
We about tired of them little flags all over the place, especially on the gram. But
man, it's like Disneyland over here, man. Flags everywhere.
Literally everywhere you take a step is a flag somewhere.
Right.
But God bless the dead. Dr. Miles Monroe said, your character will protect you and will protect your future. And I've learned that more so in the last 10 years of my life than ever, that my character has literally protected me, because my characters and like my integrity is wrapped up in my character. And integrity is basically what you do when there's no one else watching. When you know you can get away with it, right? Like that's when you know when integrity is real for you. Like, are you willing to be able to do what you're supposed to do when there's no one else going to know about it? And I learned that firsthand, because if I didn't have integrity, I wouldn't be here today. Just recently, I was leaving my house actually, and there's a stop sign that is so like in the cut and in the corner, and this intersection is always jumping. Nobody really pays attention to it. Had I just went along with a crowd, everybody just blowing that stop sign, somebody blew a stop sign coming the total opposite way. Now, had I literally in the same timing, had I just not hit my brakes and kept going and just reared into traffic, I probably wouldn't be sitting here, or either not whole the way I'm sitting here now.
Wow.
But integrity in your character, it protects your future, and it protects you as well as the person that you're getting involved with. So I'm glad you said that, bro.
Big facts. And another aspect of that is not even protecting you in that way, but it also protects you in another way. It's easy to judge a person by who you are if they are what you are. So if you're a person of character, you can know what character looks like. But let's just talk about it. If you don't even have that character in dating, and you don't have standards in dating, how do you know, and how are you able to judge someone else's character?
Right. That's a flawed standard.
You gotta have gas to be able to notice, if a person has gas or not, man.
Now that's true, and I love that perspective, because it's like it's one of those things where I've learned that I'm living in more in grace and giving grace, because there's certain people that truly just don't know the information that we think is common sense.
Big facts.
And
that's why they have dating coaches, by the way.
Listen, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm glad to have you on here, because I had an argument with a few of my friends, and excuse me, and I'm like, I don't think that's necessary to have a dating coach, but it's like the thing that I think is common sense, someone is actually looking for as the core of the information that they're searching for. So we can't think of anyone having big or small knowledge, right? Because someone else is learning that what we learned last week is still big to them, and it was big to us last week. So I love different perspectives, bro. So you just give me that new perspective. It just opens my mind, and that's the part of this thing, podcasting, I love, because it gives you a second to be like, new light, new perspective, new brain room. You know what I mean?
Agreed, man. And the energy you put towards it is what you get out of it.
Yes.
I can't tell you what percentage of singles out there are actually studying the dating market, like actually studying, because it's one thing to be in the ring.
Right.
It's another thing to be outside of the ring, studying, taking notes, etc. Like I could start quoting you numbers and polls and information that the average person doesn't know.
Right.
So, when you know these things, it gives you an advantage. And working with a coach allows you to get that inside track, that inside information. It's legal inside trading into the dating environment. And if you haven't taken that opportunity to talk to some of these coaches, you're missing out because they got a lot of good information. Not all coaches are created equal, but
Right.
you can judge a tree by its fruit. So look at the fruit.
And listen to me out there, y'all. To be honest, and this might sound absolutely crazy, but I didn't even believe in my own work, my line of work right now. Like I didn't even believe in confidence or character development a few years before I got started. So don't listen to me and thinking like, oh well, dating coach. Listen, especially after all the time I spent with this man, what you want to do now, especially if you're just wandering around in the dating world, like this, because. Like and D, if your expertise is different, please speak up. But for me, I would say like if you're in your 20s and you're looking your early 20s, you're just looking and you're wandering around, hey, have fun. But if you're in your 30s and you're still wandering and not knowing where to go with this whole dating thing, please reach out to DM. Like please.
40s, 50s.
Yes.
I felt
please.
60s, man.
Wow.
It's real.
Wow, in the 60s, like, and that's deep, D, like, because like that's 6 decades of wondering.
It is, but you don't know what you don't know, and that's the dangerous part. Right. Like, if you're looking for something serious, really quick, right? You're talking numbers. Right. If you're looking for something serious, it's helpful to have information out in numbers on the dating world. It's helpful to know that 50% of daters actually don't want anything at all. They're focused on job. They're focused on their education. I'm focusing on my kids right now. I'm focusing on my career. I'm focusing on my family. I'm focusing on my health. We have all heard this. I'm not worried about that. I'm focused on this. That's 50% of the daters. 10% are only looking for something casual. We know those people. We don't have to give examples, right?
Right.
6% are confused. They don't know what they want. So not wanting anything, wanting something casual, are not knowing represents 86% of the dating environment. Yikes. If you don't know this, you already losing because you're getting discouraged off rip. If I got an 86% chance of hitting something and that's not what I'm looking for, am I going to get discouraged or am I going to be celebrating?
Nah, you're going to be discouraged. Right.
I got a 14% approval rate. I got a 14% winning rate. If I don't know how to find that 14%, I'm losing. And if you want marriage, which a lot of people, they say they want, but let's just say you want marriage, right? You want what RJD got, right?
You better watch what you ask for.
But check this out. Not all 14% want marriage. Not everybody looking for something serious wants marriage. So now when we do that, you're looking in for a less than 10% approval rate. And you out there fishing with a 90% declination.
Yeah.
And you say, well, I don't need a coach. I'll figure it out. But as soon as somebody gets a coach, they know the questions to ask. I can teach you a question, boom, off a rip, that will automatically bring your number up from 14 to 26 to 50 to plus. But if you don't know these things and you're not using the right tools, you out here trying to build a house with a club that I talked about earlier, the biggest club you can find. I got the biggest club.
Right.
Look, the house ain't gonna look like nothing. Let's just say that.
Yo,
I'm soapbox, man, but that's what it is.
Nah, yo, and yo, D, you know I love it, bro, because like there's so much value in this. Because like it's so crazy because I was just telling my homeboy this the other day, yo, we as men, we learn all the vital things the wrong way.
Yeah.
We don't learn dating. We just go out and figure we find this one. It's caveman style for us. We go out there and find one, drag her home. Right? Like that's that we don't there's no even thought process. That's it. And then we
the wrong stick.
No, yeah, like we got the stick. Yeah, we got the biggest one. Now you got a big headache right along with it.
Right.
Yo, so then we learn sex through porn. You understand? Like we learn like our livelihood all the wrong way. And I'm saying to myself, this is scary because as I think about it, everything that like when it comes down to it, I've learned the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm product of porn, learning sex through porn, not having a fundamentally sound home. So I'm learning life through flawed tactics, right? And really skewed perspectives. So everything that I've learned about being a man was jaded. So, like you said, if you don't know what you don't know, so I'm already a defensive man by nature. You come into the world talking about you doing this wrong, and I'm like, well, I'm doing pretty good for myself over here. You ain't. I got all these women that I'm messing with. Like, you can't tell me I'm not doing this right. But when you actually start talking about the heart, my emotions, how I was feeling on the inside, how I was trying to make other people feel because I didn't really love myself, and all the damage that caused. There's a long line of people that's probably looking right now, even at me as an individual, saying, "Yo, he's a piece of, you know what?"
Right.
But because of developing my character, right, and like to your point, like you can't have one without the other. I believe, and this is my own belief, DM. Like if you have confidence without the character, it's called arrogance. Like you're arrogant. Like you have no substance to stand on to even be confident in. So it's a facade, right? And we already know that's a fake. So I need you to tell the audience as well out there what is the biggest thing that a man can show a woman about his character in the dating world. Like how can a man show a woman that he's a man of character? Because we always show that there's so many ways to see these red flags. Like, how do we see the positive? What are some of the signs that you can see for a man of good character?
Got you. So when I answer this question, I'm going to answer this question. So for all of the women that are listening, this is how you are able to spot a man of good character. For all the guys that's out listening, if you want to be a man of character, you want to learn how to do this. Before I say that, I remember talking to a client, and this client is in their late 40s. And I taught him a technique that really is wrapped around this particular thing, right? And he was like, man, no one ever taught me this. Late 40s, no one ever taught me this. And I'm going to make sure I teach this to my son that is a teenager.
Wow.
So what is that? It sounds so simple, and this may go over a lot of people's head, but some people may get it. It's as simple as this: knowing what you want and asking the questions to identify it. Now, let me speak a little bit more detail. It's having an idea, a clear idea, a definite focus on what you desire. Not accepting less, and be able to vetting those individuals that come into your life. Now, maybe I can make it a little bit more plain. So for the ladies out listening, one way, there's many ways to do this, but one way to judge a man's character is by the questions that he asks. What kind of questions is he asking you while he's getting to know you? Are these intentional questions? Is he asking you these questions to see if you're what he's looking for, or is he just filling time? Is he barely showing interest? Is he just recycling the questions that you gave him?
Right.
A man's actions, especially through his questions, what he asks, is a very, very crucial window into this man's character and what he's looking for. At the same time, if you are not looking for something serious, your questions are going to be a certain way.
Right.
If you're looking for something serious and you like locked in, your questions are going to be entirely different level. For a guy that's listening out there, you have to be able to learn how to ask the questions to identify whether a person is what you're looking for and what you're not looking for. And what character states is if somebody is not what you are looking for, and you're truly focused on finding that individual, it's about letting it go. Because right now, if you're scooping something up that doesn't belong to you, that's theft. What character is that? That's not what you're looking for.
Right.
You got a license. If you think spiritual, right? You have a license to fish for salmon. That's all you got. So if I catch a trout, character tells me I don't have a trout license.
Right.
I don't have a trout stamp. I'm not supposed to be. I'm not licensed to catch a trout. But when I open your bag, you got 25 dead trout just sitting in your bag, chilling. Can't even put them back. And no salmon. And then when you catch a salmon, when you catch it, guess what? It's not even room in your bag. So now the salmon goes to waste. Your intention goes to waste. The life you're supposed to be living goes to waste because you filled it with waste. Something you can't even lose.
And yo, so D, and to the point of having the character to throw it back, that's big. Because what's the expiration date on that though, D?
Man, it's two ways to look at it. It's an expiration date on the lifestyle, and it's an expiration date on the trout. Okay? So let's talk about it. The Bible talks about when I was a child, I thought as a child.
Right.
But now that I'm no longer a child, I need to
think away those childish things, right?
So I have to do away with childish things. So there is an aspect of maturity. Once you learn, you do better. Right? It's like the word. The word is you're responsible for what you know, right? So when you learn, you do better. Now, the expiration date, we talked about the lifestyle, right? The expiration date on the trout, man, the reality, you can fill your trout and you can fill your chest to the end of your life. But the reality is you'll never be satisfied.
Thank you.
So until you're caught, until it hits you, that expiration date might not happen until the end. But at the end, you'll never reach full fulfillment. But let me put out a warning for you. When you're supposed to be intentionally catching salmon and you're filling your bag with trout, you run a risk. You're playing a game. And the fellas out here know the game I'm talking about. The women out here, there's a game too. There are women and guys out there that may not feel like they deserve to be a part of your life. Their character isn't there. And they will lie, cheat, steal, or beg to be in your life. And when that individual gets attached to your life, when they bring you a gift that you can't get rid of, when they bring you a gift that takes 18 years, 20 years, just to become an adult, and you're still taking care of the gift.
A lifelong gift.
There are things out there that we just don't understand. And when character is missing, going back into that character part, and this has happened. It's happened to me where I've had these concerns pop up, man, where people be like, I gotta lie. I gotta say that I'm this. I gotta say I got this. I gotta. Everybody doesn't have the character. Right. And when you're out there trout fishing, there's a term in poker that says you live by the river, you die by the river. So you keep trying to sneak it out of life. Sooner or later, life is gonna sneak one on you.
Yo, and I really hope that this is resonating, because this is not something that this is a joke. We're laughing and having certain joke laughing points in this conversation, but this is life, y'all. This is life. When you get past the whole immature stage of dating and you're having fun and all those things, you're really looking like, yo, this is life. I'm looking to do life with someone.
Mm.
And it's not a process that you just, oh, okay, yo, you know what? You passed that little four. I asked you 2 questions. You know what? We can do life together. If you had that kind of outlook on your life, you're really gonna have to sit down and talk to someone,
Yeah.
because your life is way more serious than that. And your life is way more important just to let that, especially your life partner, just happen to tag along, right? Just happen to show up in your life. And one question for you, another question for you, D, is like, when it comes down to having the character and the integrity enough to know, like, when it's not for the relationship is not for you, like, how do you do that? Like, as a man, because like I know it's probably some of the questions the men have out there. Like, yo, how do I let this girl know, right? Like, yo, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
Because there are men out there who are contemplating this right now,
Mhm.
and the only thing they can see in their mind is the tears that are gonna flow. That intense conversation is gonna happen. So, what does that man do that's trying to use it, have more character and be a man of integrity?
So let's go into this a little bit more on both sides, right? Because I appreciate the question, but this question is more common
Mm,
than many would care to admit. And it specifically happens a lot in guys in their 20s and their 30s, is where you really, really see this. The women that fall victim to this are women that are typically in their late 20s, early to mid 30s, and maybe even a little bit past that, right? So what the concern is we all know this story about the woman that invested time into a guy, and then once the guy got himself together, the guy left.
right.
What happens in this situation is the guy may give some hints, he may indirectly state it, or may even passively directly say it. The woman may not take that answer, she may not see it, she may ignore it, etc. We all know the story.
Right.
We,
Absolutely.
we all got a little blood on our hands about being with somebody and not letting them go because it was comfortable. And I say this because right now there's people watching this, and some people don't know that they're using that security blanket, or they are the security blanket. And that's that. It could be a relationship, it could be a situationship, it could be a marriage, it could be a lot of different things out here, right? But a person is using a person for security, or the person is security. Additionally, there's individuals out there that appreciate being a security blanket. So this is complicated.
Yes.
So we look at it as easy about saying, oh well, how can they, just be honest, just let them go. Well, they don't want to lose that person,
Right.
and the person doesn't want to necessarily be lost. And sometimes a guy or even a woman will say it, and the person doesn't take hints. So there could be blood on both sides. Now let's talk about this. From the guy's perspective, we're using this guy. The question is a guy that needs to be able to say goodbye. You got to bite the bullet on this one and really double down, triple down, quadruple down. Sometimes when you get in those situations, the person may ignore it, may not take no for an answer, but you got to lock it down. And those conversations can sound a variety of ways. Hey, you know what? That last experience that we had, we've had our ups and downs, but this needs to be it. I cannot continue.
Right.
Anything that you say cannot have any questions behind it. It has to be definite. Not, I I think we should stop.
I
You know,
had a feeling.
I feel like this. No, it has to be definite.
Hold on, D. Well, I'm from the Pentecostal background, so I've heard this many a times. Well, God said, like God told me that we're supposed to be together. That's not how that works, huh?
Listen. That's something that I hear too. You know, and I've heard friends quote that. Listen, if you're in that person and you hear that, God gives us free will.
Thank you.
Right? And look, you can say God said this, God said that, he gives us free will. You know, God told me that we shouldn't have been having sex together.
Hey.
But we were. So I'm speaking to you now. But this is my decision.
Right.
I'll deal with God myself, but you have to be definite.
Right.
Because if you leave a crack, a person that feels that need to be the blanket, the person that feels that need to be supported, the person that feels the need to be there will fight for that need with everything that they have. But if you fully close the door, that person can't be there. When you get a gift, you return it if you can. If you get a gift, you don't say anything. You get a gift, you give it to somebody else. You have to do everything in your power to say no. And if you can't take the gift back, gift it somehow to another person. You know what I'm saying? But what I will tell you, tell them no. Tell them no. Well, I thought no. Your response should still be no, because that person is going to come back. That person is going to try. That person is going to see. But you have to be definite, because if there's any cracks in that, it will fall. And if you're the person being the security blanket, you have to understand that I know you have a need to be helpful. You feel like you should be there. You don't want to, lose this person. You don't want to have this person at a disadvantage. Without you being in this person's life, they'll just die.
They really feel that way.
You have to let it go. You have to let it go and understand what's internally in you is your gift trying to get out. But your gift is not used for your romance. They are separate. If you are using your gift in your romance, you are exploiting your gift. These have to be separate. These have to be separate. And we can talk about that on another day, but if you're using your gift, so something that you should be teaching, you should be giving to a student. In Florida, they lock people up for that. In Mississippi, they lock people up for that. When the teacher's with the student,
right, it's
illegal.
Right, that ain't right.
So don't exploit your gift, because you will spiritually have to pay for it.
Yo, that's a bar right there. I hope y'all grab onto that one, because I know I am. Yo, if you're using your gift, you're exploiting your gift.
In a relationship.
That's phenomenal. Yo, D, that right there is phenomenal, bro. So check this out. So we had the little past the midway point, but now I want to have some questions directed to you and your level of confidence, because in order to be a dating coach, you have to have some incredible confidence. Like, just because you have to be able to convey something with a certain level of confidence to make someone else appreciate and believe the words that are coming from your mouth. So my question to you is, if anyone, who helped you build the confidence that you have today?
Listen, the confidence came from the experiences. Like, let me be clear about that. And even with the experiences, it was still raw, right? So for a while, I followed under Eric Thomas, was part of his university, Breathe University. After that, I got under Tony Robbins, attended some of his conferences, his speaking, got deep into that. Got in and talked to some coaches myself. I remember back in, it was the last conversation. I actually hired a coach. It was a dating coach. That was in 2020. Because I had gave up on dating. I'm like, man, look, I'm done. And
Really?
yeah, man. Yeah. I was like, look, if it happened, it happened. I'm done. In 2020. And ironically, that led me to Clubhouse.
Wow.
I didn't know that things were working together for my good. And I didn't know the gifts that I had until those gifts started to get tested. When my gift came up, where I was able to now give advice and etc. I was able to take back all of these things that came along the journey, and then the dots connected. Steve Jobs talks about the dots, right? Connecting the dots. You can't connect the dots moving forward. You only connect the dots looking back. And you can look at the trajectory of those dots and get an idea or a glance of your future, but you still can't tell. But it was at that point that I got the opportunity to look back and saw that I was over singles groups with thousands of people in it. At one time in Houston, I was over a singles group with 2,700 people. The number of dates that I went on, how I was able to tie together business, what I learned about business and banking and profiling and relationships, and how that actually connected to dating in a weird way. Wow. And then I started connecting those dots. How I first was able to rid myself of my limiting beliefs, right? And how I made that change in my life, how I put myself on restriction to get clarity. I put that time in, invested it in, and then became a life coach.
So hold on, D. Wait. So you mean to tell me you put yourself on restriction?
Oh,
you had to discipline yourself, and you had to separate yourself so you can better yourself? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
That was in 2018. I remember it because I wasn't where I wanted to be. And, I was talking, to women, and I was spending, all of this money and all of this stuff. And I wasn't where I wanted to be. Right. So I literally told myself, no sex, no going out, no dates. I'm not talking to anybody frivolously. When I get home, outside of work, when I get home, I'm just talking to my mom and my dad, nobody else. Going back to Eric Thomas, he had a speech. It was part 2 of As Bad as You Want to Breathe,
right.
Which was the thing that he went first viral on. And in a part of that part 2, he says, "You've reached the right person at the wrong time," or something like that. Now call me next year. Click. And I put myself on that level of restriction. I restricted my spending. Like I literally did it in every aspect of my life. I cut the TV off. I only listened. I listened and I read books. I read, Think and Grow Rich 2.5 times. That's how I started. I got into meditation. I read The Richest Man in Babylon. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I started reading Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover. I started really getting it in and getting myself together. There you go. And
yes, sir.
It was able to reveal some stuff to me that I wasn't locked down.
Right.
And I got into some Steve Harvey books where he act like a success, think like a success. And knowing what your gift was. And that I remember reading that book after knowing and learning to invest in myself.
That's big.
I was headed to Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, which is where you walk on the coals. That's like people got. So I'm like, before I go to Jersey, right? I'm reading this book, and then a question was, your gift is a thing that you do, like with almost zero effort. It just comes to you, and it impacts and affects so many people. So I'm asking over 50 to almost 100 people, hey, when you think about me, what do I give you? Like, how do I impact your life, and etc. And the words that came up was inspire, advise, and motivate. Inspire, advise, and motivate. Inspire, advise, and motivate. I was like, well, I can't forget my gift. Right. I gotta create an acronym. So I looked at it. I was like, well, maybe I can make it AIM, advise, inspire, motivate. I was like, I don't like that. So I'm into it, and it was inspire, advise, motivate. I am. God himself.
Right.
I am that I am.
Right.
You can't get purer than that. I said, well, I'll never forget that. Because I am a reflection of God. I was made in his image. So how can I forget who I am? Go to next. So once I learned that gift, man, the rest of the things and the rest of the dots started to connect as I made that investment in myself and I made that investment in others. So that's that answer, is how I got that confidence.
But and that's awesome, bro, because it's like I tell everyone, like, experience is the best teacher. But what happens is when we don't have the confidence in ourselves to go out in life and be ourselves, we miss out on opportunities, relationships, and experiences. Mm-hmm. Like, you miss out on so many of those things. And then with that, you missing out on those aspects of life cause you to live in a shell, to cause you to consistently want to stay and be withdrawn from people around. Mm-hmm. And it's a vicious cycle that if you don't have someone to help you come out of, it can lead you towards depression.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is why I like to have these conversations, because we don't understand how important us being self-confident is. I truly believe that self-confidence is the foundational building block to every success in the world. Because if you don't believe in yourself first, how could you even show up or get started?
Yeah.
So, we're coming down to the last few, but I got 2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
In your life, what was the hardest situation that really made you say, I need to be a better man? Mm. Because we all know that we don't just change because we want to, right? Comfort sets in and we stay where we are. And it takes a lot of time, 98% of the time, it takes pain to cause us to want to move or change or become different. So what was it, that situation that caused and told you, like you said earlier, you wasn't where you wanted to be at?
Yeah. That situation happened to me in 2020. That was a catalyst. I talk about it in my book, right?
Yes. I'm going to ask you about that too. Talk about it.
So chapter 1, I talk about what happened, and for anybody that is planning on getting the book or reading the book, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I will say that I connected myself to 2 ladies, and they were willing to lie, cheat, steal, etc., to be in my life. Mm. And those 2 ladies were not what I really wanted. I wanted salmon, but I was catching trout. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the trout license. That wasn't the lifestyle that I chose to live. And I played the river, and luckily I didn't die. But I got myself into a dark space. Mm-hmm. Because of those choices, right, and those decisions. And I had my come to Jesus moment, going back to those Pentecostal slayings, right?
Right.
I had my come to Jesus moment.
Just now.
And it was a dark place. And then God allowed me to see that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. But I remember that weapon formed. And I remember that darkness that I felt myself in. Mm-hmm. And that was the catalyst, because I was determined to never put myself back in that position. Mm. And when I determined not to put myself back in that decision, it was a journey. But I can tell you the fruits of that seed, the fruits of that tree have already started to manifest themselves into my life in ways that I never experienced it. And I'm extremely happy about that.
And I'm so glad you used that word, because that's what I like. That's what I've been hitting on with my guys for the last month. The decision. Everything starts with a decision, yo. Everything.
So,
Like you make a decision to stand up from a chair you're sitting in. You make a decision to go forth and do things in a productive way, or you also make a decision not to.
right.
But everything starts with a decision. Like, if you want to be a better individual, you want to be a better man, you want to be a better father, husband, woman, wife, daughter, son, you name it. You just want to be better. It's going to take a decision. And you gotta really want that. You gotta really want it. And the one thing D has been, you had a common thread throughout the night has been clarity. Like, when you have the clarity, understanding what you truly want, you can go after it, right? Like, you can really go after what you want. Like, it's hard to go after something that you don't know what you're chasing. But once you have the clarity and understand, like, yo, this is what I'm going after, it puts you in a position to where you're not wasting your own life. You're not out there trout fishing when you know you're supposed to be salmon, right? Right. So it's this episode right here has truly broadened my perspective, and I it's pointed out so many key notes that I really think that so many men have to take, ingest, and really take time to apply to their lives going forward, because confidence and character is not something that we can just look over as something that's unnecessary, especially in the dating world. Because if you look at all the things that you had to go through, D, in your entire span of dating and doing the things you went through, if you could take the character that you possess now, compare it to the compared to the gentleman before, what is the difference in character from the man you were before then to the man you are now?
Man, it's night and day. At this point, I have to say that everything happens for a reason. But if you're watching this could be your reason stopping you from getting to that point. All right. So what I'll say is, for me, man, if I could go back, would I go back at this point? Man, internally, I say yes. But I wouldn't have known.
Right.
But now that I know, I have to do better. I can no longer be in that position of being in a child. Going back to that trout and that salmon analogy, right? This is when you have to make that decision. Because once you put one trout in your bag, once you go through that door the first time, it's easy to go through it a second time. And those thoughts become actions. And after you do that action enough times, it becomes a habit. That habit becomes a lifestyle. And it can be very, very difficult to break unless someone else breaks it for you. Maybe it's God, maybe it's life, maybe it's her, maybe it's him. But I promise you, if you can just release that trout back into the water when you know that's not what you're looking for. You know that's not what you want. You know it's not. I promise you, in the long run, you will thank yourself. You will definitely thank yourself.
Yo, DM, this has been phenomenal, bro. Like, believe you me, you will be back on this podcast. I'm not even about to ask you, bro. Like, I'm telling you, I gotta bring you back and drag you back in here, because there's so many more things that we gotta cover. Because I didn't realize until, honestly, to have this conversation about how character and confidence is actually so pertinent inside of the dating world, like, especially between men and women. Like, it's mind-blowing, bro. So thank you. First, before we get up out of here, let people know where they can buy your book, because you got me on the edge of my seat, because I want to know what's in chapter 1 now.
Man, look, chapter 1. I remember when my mom first read the book, and she hit it. It was a big compliment. She was like, I was almost late to church. I'm like, well, I know it's gonna be good if Mama almost late to church. But yeah, man, the name of the book is Dating Advice 360. You can actually get this book everywhere.
Nice.
Everywhere you can buy a book, you can get it. You can go to Walmart.com. You can go possibly even on Target. You can go on Amazon. You can go on Books A Million. You can go on Barnes and Noble. You can go on Google Books. You can go on Apple Books. You can go to my website.
Yes.
You can hit me up on IG, and I'll even give you a signed copy completely free of charge. So the same amount you pay for the book and shipping, if you want a signed copy, I'll send you out a signed copy as well. I just want to see you win in dating. That's what I want to do. I want to win in dating.
I'm gonna make sure I get all your information, especially about to his website, so you can get directly to him and get that autographed book. Like, support this movement. So definitely, it's gonna be down in the description. Check it out. Get that book, especially if you're in the dating space. And like I said before, if you're in your early 20s, have fun, right? Like, but you're creeping out of your 20s, going to the 30s. And you're still looking for that route, and you're not quite understanding what to do with your life or your dating space, grab this book and take a little step further. DM, tell them how they can use some of your services, bro.
Yeah. So look, I even say this, man. Even if you're 20, if you're like, yo, I'm serious, I'm intentional. Maybe you're in the church, or maybe you're like, you know what, I only want to do this one time. I want to do it the right way, etc. Maybe you have a covenant, not to have sex before marriage, and you're burning up and you want to do it the right way.
Right.
Get the book. I promise you, it's worth it. Maybe you want to have maybe you got a question, you want to have a conversation. Go to my website, www.dwoodsadvisor.com. Hit me up on IG. Say, look, I want some of your time. Let's talk. Hit me up, man. There's so many ways to find me. I'm definitely looking forward to having a conversation with you. So find me on Clubhouse, find me on IG, find me everywhere. I'm just here to help you out, and I want you to win. So that's what it's about. Thank you so much, man, for inviting me onto your podcast. I really, really appreciate it.
Nah, DM, thank you for gracing me, man, with your presence on this platform, because it's not for me, right? I've learned that everything that we do, especially in our space in life, like, God puts us through things, we go through things, and it's not for us, it's for someone else. So I'm appreciative that you came on this platform to be a benefit to someone else in their time of need, bro, because I truly understand that what life is like without confidence. It's not a pleasant feeling. It's not a pleasant experience. For so long, I used my ability to be an extrovert to keep people at bay from really finding out the damage and the pain that I withheld for so many years, just not wanting to be myself. I could, if I hung around you long enough, D, I could pretend to be you almost as good as you, because wow. I mastered the ability to be someone else. Me, all the while, never knew who I was and was never able to latch on to that until recently. And now, seeing life from this perspective and seeing where I've come from, I know that that's a dark cloud over a man's head, not to be able to want to be himself. And that's why I'm on this mission to help as many men as possible, bro, to just lift their heads up. Like, I walked down the streets in New York for many years and just looked at the cracks in the ground because I wasn't proud enough to pick my head up. I could tell you what the floors look like all across New York State, just because I didn't feel confident in myself. And I don't want that to be no other man's song. So that's why I do what I do, bro. And this is why I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing, because you're going to help so many families come from dating. I dated my wife, and now we have 2 beautiful children. Our family is created because we started in the dating world. So you're going to change the outlook of people's families, bro. So I appreciate what you do. I no longer take what you do for granted. And I definitely appreciate it. So once again, thank you for coming on this platform, and you will be back to have part 2 to this. Anyone out there, if you do need any of his services, his information will be down in the description. And if you want to go over directly to him, he's on Instagram at DM Woods. Check him out. Like I said before, his content on Clubhouse, Instagram is superb. It's second to none. And I'm telling you that I'm putting this RJD stamp on that. So go check him out. Everybody out there, you guys know how we do around here. Confidence is all about what? How you see yourself. It doesn't really matter how somebody else sees you. It's all about how you see yourself. But until the next time that we see you, be good to yourself and the ones around you. And if you can't be good to the ones around you, that's okay. Just get those people from around you. Yo, this is RJD, the Imperfect Gentleman, and this has been another dope episode of the Uniquely Confident Podcast. Y'all be blessed, because we will. Peace out.